for joining us. We're here live on Echo Means Business. I am Scott, your host, and we have Nicole, the Landscape Manicurist, right above me. Welcome, Nicole. Thank you for joining me in the next episode, which is it's November. I mean, I can't believe it's already November. It's November 5th, where everybody's out voting. Take a minute from the polls and watch us. Give us all your good questions for Nicole. She's here giving her time, and I enjoy you guys all joining us. So, Nicole, tell us a little bit about where you're from, your backstory. I want to know it all. I think everybody wants to know it all, and it would be good to hear that.
Well, I'll do my best in explaining everything. Hello. I appreciate you having me on. I'm super excited. This is a first for me. So my name is Nicole Sutterfield-Cook, and I own the Landscape Manicurist in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. I've been doing this probably about 9 years full time, and I do commercial and residential landscape maintenance, design and installation. And I also do a tiny bit of hardscaping, nothing compared to, some of these people, but I do the flower bed and stuff like that. So.
Nice. So why did you get into business? I think everybody would like to know, why did you start lawn care and landscaping and all that stuff, all that good stuff?
Well, back in 1970, no, I'm just teasing. So, I used to be a manicurist, which is actually kind of where my name comes from. I owned a day spa back in 1993 and had it for about 15 years. So I got married in the meantime, and my husband and I, we had children. And at that point, I ended up being a stay-at-home mom, homeschooled our children for about 8 years. And at some point, ended up going through a divorce in 2012. It was a pretty lengthy 2-year, long, drawn-out divorce. And it really put me in just to a tailspin, really. So at that point, I kind of had to figure out, rather than homeschooling my children, I had to figure out what I was going to do. And so I just really took my talents and kind of made a list. I couldn't go back and do nails any longer. The industry had changed so much that I just really felt I couldn't compete with the nail drills and all of that stuff, if you're familiar. And
Right.
So I did a lot of photography. I can stain decks, and I knew how to paint, interior painting, and I knew how to landscape. So at that point, I just started kind of going out and testing the market as to what I could do. I've always been self-employed, and my main concern going through the divorce really was I was going to be picking up my children at 3:30 every day. So I didn't care what it took. That was my main goal. And at the time, it was trying to be taken away from me to have the ability to to pick them up from school. And I just started putting it out there on Facebook as to what I was doing. And in the interim, I ended up working for a place called Paths to Independence, a school for autistic children here in Bartlesville, an amazing school for autistic children. And I was taking their photos. I also was over their Facebook page for a short time. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, what do I do when I grow up now that I'm 30, 40, I'm 40 at that point. And so the landscaping took off. It was one of my ex nail clients at the time had me come on her property, and I was trimming some boxwoods for her. And a lawn care guy ended up coming up and saying, "Hey, is this what you do?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, it is." And he wanted me to bid out, some maintenance properties. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'm working for $15 an hour. I don't care. Like, right. I just needed to do something. And right. He handed me a list of Chili's, Rib Crib, Walgreens, major commercial properties. And I was giving, I guess now that I know, I was giving him a heck of a deal. I don't
right.
care. I'm working. But at that point, it really got me into I was like, okay, I don't care that whatever I'm doing, I'm just going to pick my kids up. So he got a heck of a deal, built his business. And in turn, I built mine off of, doing those. I learned a lot. I know more now, obviously, in bidding and subcontracting for lawn care companies and stuff. So
nice. So what is your best service you provide for everybody? I think that's what some of the people want to know.
I think I've always told my clients as I come on the property to do an estimate is if you can't tell that I've been there, there really is no reason for me to do what I'm doing. And if you'll see some of my before and afters, I trim 99.9% of that. I'm going through and revamping their property. I like to come in, and if I can keep the shrubs and work it into a design, I'll do that. I don't like to come in and just pull everything. So the dramatic before and after photos, I've trimmed every single bit of that, like I said, 99% of it. And I think that's it. It's just coming in and doing a major, overhaul on their property. There's times we're getting in 40-yard dumpsters. It's not an easy task, but I can see it. And I think that's it. That's the main thing, is coming in and doing the before and afters. And my clients see that and know that I'm going to do a really good job.
Yeah, everything
And
I've
it's not
seen you
coming
do,
in. I will say it's not coming in with a weed eater and just taking weeds to ground. We are hand pulling this stuff. We're prepping their property. I'll have my chemical guy come in and spray, behind me as we come through, just to make sure that everything is taken care of too. So
that's awesome. You do a great job. Everything I've seen you done is just amazing. So I mean, you're doing a great job out there. So how many people do you employ? Do you employ people? You were talking about subcontracting. I know we've talked about this before,
Yep.
at some places that we've been at. So, but I think everybody would like to know, like, how do you run your business? Do you have people that work for you?
Right now I have contracts. It kind of varies. So the subcontracting comes in with my sprinkler work, my chemical guy. If I have to have boulders brought in, those are the subcontracting, guys that I work with. Amazing people. I've learned so much from each and every one of them. I could probably change the sprinkler heads. I've gotten to a point now that I put even a sprinkler clause in my contracts because we've hit so many lines. And so as far as my helpers are concerned, they're coming in and cleaning up the debris behind me. And so they're paid hourly. Again, that's just the way that I run my business. I do the majority of the major cleanup process. They'll maybe do, the weed removal and stuff like that. But when it comes to really going through a property, I'm actually the one that does it. I hope to pivot next year and give up a little bit more control. The problem is with that is you have somebody that is haphazardly coming through and not knowing how to properly prune things. So I just need to educate the guys on what to do. So it's not a hands-off situation. There's some companies here that's all they do is they'll bid stuff out, throw their guys on the property and hope it turns out. And when it comes to properly pruning, it's kind of a fine thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that you can just go in and do without the knowledge.
Yeah,
so
I totally agree with you. I'm more of a hands-on guy, and it takes me a long time to actually get somebody to train them and actually get them to be in that position that I can trust them to say, okay, go prune this bush. I'm the one that has to be like, okay, I'm pruning this bush. I have one other guy that I've known and that worked for me for 5 years, and I can trust what he's doing because I know that he's learned properly. But everybody else, it's like, okay, you're clean up. You're going to clean up. You're going to push the mulch, but we'll still come back through and make sure that it's perfect where we want it. So that's amazing.
Right.
So in this big scheme, and I know you're a woman in the industry, and I thank you for being a woman in the industry because there's so many out there that are doing great jobs out there. How do you feel it's impacted everybody else in the industry?
Females in general being in the industry?
Yeah. I mean,
or in my town.
I see them all the time, and I see more and more coming in, and I think that's great that we're getting more women in the industry that actually are making it bigger and better, I think. So.
Right. I think with women in the industry, I think it makes the men have to step it up
Right.
a notch. We do have probably a little better attention to detail. Sorry, guys, but and I also, I don't know, it's just really tough being a female in the industry. The past 3 years, I've been one of the top 5 landscapers in my
Wow.
town,
Congrats.
which is such a humbling experience for me. But I think with females, you just have to have that mentor as well. So, I'm going to the other lawn care guys and saying, hey, what do you think of this? And how do I tackle this? And should I use this on that? In the beginning, I don't do that as much anymore, but I say, just keep trucking, do what you know, read what you can, and go on to YouTube and figure out how to do that stonework or whatever, or buy the pruning books and just figure it out, because you are going to be set apart because you are a female and they are going to test you. But I think the main thing in that is posting those before and after photos of your work. I prefer Facebook because that is my target audience. I actually do a lot on my personal Facebook page. I hope to kind of, just because the algorithms are a little different with your business pages. And being the female, you have to have those supporters too. So whenever the people are asking, like, who's going to be able to do this? I have a ton of people that will actually recommend me. And I'm so appreciative of that over the years. So being a female in the industry, you're going to be standing apart anyway, but you better know what you're doing. And just don't underbid yourself.
That's awesome. We have a lot of people that are following us right now on YouTube and on Instagram. I want to say hi to everybody that's following us. Grant C. Martin Lawn Care says that you're a great mentor for other females in the industry. I think that is very true. I really do.
Thank you.
So how do you've been in business for a long time. So how do you get your marketing? How do you do marketing?
I haven't spent one penny on marketing, except I just recently bought signs this past year. I bought 5 little lawn signs, and they actually worked pretty good. But again, my target audience, that age bracket, is Facebook, whether it is the classifieds or where people are asking, a question as to who can do X, Y, and Z. It's those previous clients, or even, clients that I have right now, they will recommend me. And again, I'm so appreciative of that, because I'll come back at nighttime and go, hey, here's a link to my Facebook page, and here's some before and after photos of my work. If you'd like me to come in and do a free estimate, I'm here to do that. It's Facebook is where I'm at. And I think there's a next door neighbor app that's kind of more in the thing now. I'm not a part of it, but I believe that the next door neighbor app is also another good place. Some people have said in some of the lawn groups on Facebook that's not, don't chase your clients. Well, I'm not really doing that. My clients are recommending me. And so in turn, I'm coming back and putting my Facebook page out there. And that's just how I've built my business. When I don't have business cards anymore, but so as I would do my clients' properties, I would usually hand them about 4 or 5. Were like, no, I don't need this. I'm like, no, you really do. Because when your neighbor asks who has cleaned up your property, you're going to have a business card to be able to give to them. Door hangers are amazing. I mean, I've never used them. I know echomeansbusiness.com has the door hangers and the flyers and stuff like that. I think if I was in a larger, city, that might be a way to go. And I think that leaving door hangers on the 6 neighbors around the property that you're working on is a really good idea. Back in the day when I had my nail salon, we would go on and it was the Polk directory, and we would go down that Polk directory and we'd hand write every single one of the flyers that we would be sending out, and that was a really good way of getting clients. But I think the next door neighbor app, Facebook, if you belong to all of those classified ads, some of them, or classified pages, you can repost 3 times a day. Some of them won't allow businesses, but some of them do. And I really encourage people to, again, that's your target audience. So just Facebook is the way to go. Instagram, yeah, if you want to become an Instagram star, which I'm not, I think that you could do that, but I don't think that your target audience really is in Instagram or YouTube or anything like that.
Right.
So
Mr. Green Life on Instagram says Nextdoor didn't work for him. They're very super cheap on their stuff. I guess he stopped it there, so I'm assuming cheap on everything. I have Nextdoor Neighbor app.
Well, I'm not on Nextdoor, so
Yeah,
I don't know. I've heard people.
There is a lot on there. I think you can pretty much, as I know from where we are, you can actually go into certain areas and pick your certain area and how big people you want to grow. So that is a good option. If you want to do that, there's lots of options for marketing. She's doing, Nicole's doing Facebook, and that's just amazing. That and word of mouth. I think word of mouth is the biggest thing that any of us can get by what work you do. And by doing amazing work, people are going to recommend you no matter which way you look at it. So J&J Properties has a question for you. How do you keep yourself organized? You are amazing to be out doing the work along with the administrative side. How do you do it? So they want to know, how do you keep yourself organized? It's got to be fun.
As I would like to, we've spoken about this, as I'd like to go to an app that actually will keep me organized, which would be, one of those out there. Yep. Jobber, or is it
Yardbook, Jobber,
whatever, even I don't know what
there's a lot out there, and I think there's many options for anybody to keep organized and be able to do the administrative side. But yeah.
Right. So at this point, I do use a few different apps. My estimating app is different than my design app, and it's just all over the place. So, as I get home and I unload my purse of receipts, and my kids are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just throwing it over here for tax season." I think that there is definitely a better way, such as Jobber, or a receipt thing where you could just feed it in and it actually does it. I'm not the most organized person out there, but it works for me at this point.
That's awesome.
So Jobber, or is it Yardbook, or
there's Yardbook? Yes.
Go to those. Ask Scott, because I am not the person to.
There's a lot of them. Grant C. Martin says there's Lawn Buddy. I mean, there's a lot of different products out there and apps that actually help out and keep organized. I think there's pluses and negatives to all of them, and I think that's one of the things. Don from State of Lawn says pen and paper. That's the best way for Nicole, probably. I think you have a lot of
mine too, though. At the end of the year, I will say Venmo. I do accept payments through Venmo. Square. All of those have at the end of the year, printout of my clients paying. The invoicing app that I use, same thing. So it's just, I need to kind of put it all together, and I highly recommend that starting it now when you first start your business, rather than trying to learn new ways. Because I think I talked to Scott earlier this year. I'm going to try to switch everything over, but doing it in the middle of your season is not the time to do it. Do it now, research those things, figure out what you need to do. But start with one now. Don't wait until you're super busy and you're booked 12 hours a day and you're going, oh my gosh, I got to get organized, because it's just not going to happen. So it's my recommendation. Pen and paper.
Pen and paper. I think Don uses pen and paper more. We're just going to say that. I can see that with Don.
Yes.
J&J says you have to do what works for you. And I agree with that. I think you do. I mean, it's whatever works best for you, really. Sometimes you got to just try, and eventually you'll get either better at it or you'll just move on. Is that correct, Nicole?
I think so. But there comes a point where you have to find something. If you're doing mowing, you want to have, I don't do mowing, but I know from what I've read, you want the card on file. You want to be able to go ahead and charge it as soon as you get finished, whether it's weekly or biweekly mowing. You want that card on file. You want it to keep track of that. Mine are different. So when I do an estimate, we're talking $4,000 estimate, and I'm doing an invoice, and I don't just go, oh, well, I'm a chick in a truck or chuck in a truck. Here's what you get. It's not that. I itemize absolutely everything that I do, whether it's labor, whether it's a tree being put in, and there is an explanation for it. So my estimates are very detailed. When it comes to mowing yards and stuff like that, it's just different. So you're charging $45, $65, and you want your route density and stuff, and you just want to just go down the line and charge those cards. I don't have to do that. So it's just a little different. And even
Right.
invoicing and getting the payment is different as well. So it could be Zelle that they're paying me, or, even a check for that matter.
That's awesome.
So I
I
don't
think
have
that's
to be
good.
as organized.
Yeah, you don't have to. I think it's good that you have
It'd be
many
helpful.
options too
Right.
for payment. I mean,
Yes.
that's one thing by having that option of having to be able to be, paid by Venmo or Zelle or check or cash or whatever it is. I think that helps you out in the long run as a business owner. So
It saves
what's
time from
one?
having to go pick up a check for sure. Yes.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. What's one good thing you would tell somebody that wants to get in the industry what they should do first before starting?
It depends on what their day job is, number one. Number two, I think contacting a financial advisor is your first step. So I think the financial advisor would be a free consultation to help figure out whether or not you're going to make what you need to make within the next 6 months, or what equipment do you need. He'll help you figure out, a loan situation. First step would be a financial advisor. As much as I jumped out with 2 feet and was working out of my SUV for, years, and my kids are sitting next to bags of mulch, a financial advisor would be your best bet. There's plenty of them out there. They offer free advice. I think that's the way to go.
That's great. That's great information. I think everybody should do that. I mean, that's really good information to start out with. J&J has another question. This one I think is kind of,
and I can't see these questions, so I'm
yes, but these are over on Instagram. What is your go-to tool for manicuring the bushes? What's your
if
one
I could just
tool
say
that
it's
you-
like XT355. It's my Echo hedge trimmers, gas all the way. Sorry. That is my go-to. I couldn't live without them. I have probably 3 pair. None of them have let me down. I've had a couple repaired because I've gone through and, hit a larger branch than I should have. But this is my Echo gas powered hedge trimmers, and it's not the one that has the gas on the back. It's evenly weighted. I'm an elderly person, so I have to have that even weight. So yeah, it's my hedge trimmers.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that's good. I mean, you do amazing work when you do bushes. And I think that if you stick with the one tool that you like to use and continuously using that piece of equipment instead of changing it up, then you know exactly how it handles and how you're going to be able to prune those bushes.
Well, and I think
What?
with, at least I've not used still hedge trimmers with Echo, and I wrote them a great letter years ago about how evenly balanced their hedge trimmers were. And I'm at times years ago, I was trimming for 10 and 12 hours a day.
Wow.
And so to have it evenly balanced to where I wasn't straining, my back or anything like that, and just to be able to go and trim it perfectly, to bounce a quarter off of it or whatever you want to say, those hedge trimmers are evenly weighted for me. I can't use the back gas. I don't know what they're called, but the hedge trimmers have the gas in the back, because
Right.
for the hours that I'm working, it just wouldn't work for me and my back. And I don't know how anybody would ever be able to. Same with the ones that have like the little catch on it. It doesn't work for me because I trim both ways. But for me, it's the dual side hedge trimmers.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Have you ever thought about doing the single-sided hedge trimmers?
Again, I
about it.
trim both ways. So I don't, and the reason is because I just can't trim backwards the entire
Right.
time. I go back and forth. I look at it, I stand back and make sure it's even. And if it's not, then again, it's that scoop on there that just doesn't work good for me for what I do. But I trim a lot. So, 70% of the properties that I'm on, I'm trimming hedges. And back in the day, I was doing it for 10 and 12 hours a day. I was constantly trimming hedges, and that single-sided just didn't work for me. I think for a lawn crew, that's going through and just maintaining and just coming through, you could just constantly just do the single-sided. But to be able to really get that, round ball, I just don't think the single-sided for me is a good option.
Awesome. Awesome. So what's one thing that you've learned over the years that is a good tip to tell people that you wish you would have known back then when you first started?
Oh, let me think.
I know it's so long ago.
Again, I worked for $10 an hour or 12. I was happy. I think just believe in yourself. I think just get yourself out there. If you have to bid lower to be able to learn how to do the things that you're doing, do it. Don't let anybody intimidate you in that. Know your numbers though as well, and how to run your business. I think that that's a very important part of it. But I just was happy to be working. I can't say enough about, I was paying my bills. I was happy. I was picking my children up from school. So I think it's just believing in yourself that you're doing the right thing, but know your numbers, because it really can get you in a financial bind when you are in your slow, months or possible slow months through the fall and winter time. And, research, like if you're going to be slow in the winter time, what are you going to do? Like, can you go and put salt down, and can you go and shovel? I mean, if it's really, food on the table and whatever, you're just going to do what you're going to do, but know your numbers. That would be my main thing.
That's good advice. Good advice. J&J has another question. Do you have any easy cleanup tips for cleaning your hedge clippers? I think they're
my hedge clippers. I can tell you about my hedge debris, but my clippers.
Yeah. Cleaning up your clippings from the hedges. What's the easiest way? There you go.
Let's do that.
I mean, yeah.
So, to me, if there's new, I'm going to do it both ways. So my hedge trimmers would be rubbing alcohol, spray them down, wipe them down. Don't take something from one property to the next. A little WD-40 if you're not going to use the little, thing at the end, which I'm supposed to do, I think, and put some oil or something in there.
Grease? Do you grease them?
Which I never knew about until more recently. But to clean up my debris, it would be, if it's new mulch, then I would put down a drop cloth. Other than that, I use a still blower, and so as I blow, I'm able to blow into corners. And as if I take that attachment piece off, so it's shorter because I'm short, and I just kind of blow it into a corner, and so that way all the debris is cleaned up out of a corner rather than just me taking a rake over the top of it and removing mulch that might be there. But drop cloth, have a nice blower that you're just barely, kind of bumping along there, and it should just blow it right into a corner, and different corners, not all of it in one corner.
No. You want to
and don't touch my boxwoods. My guys are, I'm like, don't rake over them. Don't put a rake against them. Don't touch them after I've trimmed them, and just use your hand to gently get the debris off the top.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, I've done both, and I think when you use a blower over them, you kind of bring up some more branches that you didn't want to, and then you're like, oh, I got to prune this. What the heck, So, yeah, I think just hand wiping them down is the best way too.
And then is it this? Whenever everybody does that.
Yeah. So now on the maintenance, you said you just clean them off with some rubbing alcohol.
Rubbing alcohol. I mean, some people carry around some spray bottles and just make sure that you're not taking some type of something from one property to the next. I think that it really probably should be done on lawnmower blades as well. We had an army worm. Is that what it is? The outbreak years ago. And I guarantee it was coming from one mower to the next. And what a horrible nightmare to have to deal with that. But I think any of your equipment that you're trimming anything with should be a combination of rubbing alcohol and water and just spraying it down, wiping it off, and going from there. And again, I'll spray it with WD-40 to go ahead and just kind of lubricate those blades afterwards as well. So
that's a good tip. Good tip. I got last question, and then we got to end it for tonight, guys. So if you have any other questions, go to EMB and send us a message, DM us, and we'll get your questions answered. But last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years.
Yes.
I'm hoping next year to kind of pivot a little bit to where I have more of a crew situation. And I just hope to have an amazing maintenance company that's going out and taking care of properties and doing what I do right now, but more of with the crew doing as much as they possibly can. I'm down. I have 3 kids and a grandbaby and one on the way. And I just need to kind of pivot a little bit for my health and for my clients to make sure that we address what they need done, and letting go of a little bit of a control that I've had. And I don't say it's control. It's just, I have to have somebody that knows what they're doing when it comes to trimming the shrubs and doing the maintenance. So same thing, maybe with a truck or 2.
That's good. That's a good outlook. I mean, I think having goals like that helps you grow all the time. So I think continuously having goals and looking to pivot to better yourself and your business. So, but I want to thank you, Nicole, for being on. I want to thank everybody that's literally watching us anywhere, or if you're listening to us on EMB social channels or Spotify, anywhere, just continue to listen to us, watch us. If you have any good business tips that you need help with, come look at us at emb.com. Echo Means Business. It is a great website for all of us. Nicole's on there. I'm on there. We're all there to help you out and help you grow. So thank you guys for all watching. Thank you, Nicole, for being on and letting us know more about you. Come back November 19th is our next live. We will be talking about snow and ice management. It's going to be a really great topic because snow's right around the corner. You never know when it'll just snow. So, but we'll have Don from State of Lawn. We'll have Mike Bedell from Bedell Management, and we'll have Orion from Lawn Enforcement. So let's come back then on November 19th, same time, same channel right here. So we'll see you guys all then. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. You guys all have a great night, and go to emb.com for anything you need. Later, everybody.
Thank you.